Hello, my name is Maddie Solden from Music Mastery, and today I'm going to be doing a fundamental video on the flute about breathing, our embouchure, and our tone. So the first thing I want to talk about is breathing. So let me put my flute down. Okay, so first thing I'm going to talk about is breathing. When we're breathing on the flute, it's a wind instrument, so that is where all of the sound is coming from. If we have a weak and unsteady airstream, that means it's going to translate to our flute, and we're not going to sound the greatest. So we want to work on breathing exercises when we're practicing at home, when we're in band before we start. You might do some with your band as well. So I'm going to show you one here that you can practice, and then you can take that into your flute playing. So the first thing I want to show you is I'm going to be using an app today called a metronome. So I use one called Tonal Energy. It's just an app you can get, but it has a metronome and a tuner. We're going to use the metronome today, which is a click. Listen, you can set a nice steady beat. So it helps you when you're playing different musical pieces and when you're warming up especially. So I'm going to be using my metronome at 80 beats per minute, if you're following along. And we're going to be doing a breathing exercise. So let me turn that off for a second. What we're going to do is I want you to think of as if you have a balloon down in your stomach. And when we inhale, I want you to fill up the balloon. And then when you exhale, I want you to push out the air. So what we're going to do is we're going to inhale for 4 counts, and then we're going to exhale for 8 counts, and when we exhale, we're gonna hiss. So it's gonna look like this. And 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. Inhale. So that's what it's gonna look like. And basically it's helping you form some resistance when you're pushing that air out, like you're playing your instrument. So you want to be able to fill up that balloon. Think of filling up down low, fill up, and then through those 8 counts, you're going to slowly push out the air. You don't want to go because that means you're using all your air, and when you play, you're going to sound like so you want to fill up and then pretend you're holding for 8 counts and hiss. So we're going to do that once together. 1, 2, breathe in, breathe in. Off. Okay, so next we're going to do that. Breathe in for 4 and hiss for 12 counts. 1, 2, breathe in, breathe in. So as you can tell, if you're doing this with me, when you get to those 12 counts, at the end you start to sizzle out. So you want to make sure you're trying to conserve your air and use it the best you can. So that is a good exercise that you can use when you're warming up. You can gradually do in for 4, out for 16, in for 4, out for 20. But you want to just make sure that you're getting your air flowing and you're breathing from down low. That's why our posture is so important if you refer back to the posture fundamental video, because you open up that airway to breathe down low. So next we're going to talk about the flute, and we're going to talk about some tone stuff. So the first thing I want to go over is some different types of tone. So I'm going to show you if I was to play an F, some different variations of a tone you might be hearing. So you might be hearing a very airy tone, which kind of sounds like this. You can kind of hear the air coming through. Or you might be hearing a dark tone. There's a couple different variations. Another type you might be hearing is a weak airstream. So if your flute kind of sounds like this, you don't have a lot of air going through your instrument and it's becoming pitchy as you're doing it. So it's very important to think about breathing deep, down low, and to get our focused sound, because we want a full supported sound when we're playing. We don't want that airy sound. So some things to help with that is you want to think about starting to form your embouchure. First of all, you should have kind of a frowny face more. You don't want to be smiling, more of a frowny face. So you can see my corners are down, kind of pouty. Your lip is a little bit looser. It's not super tight. You don't want a lot of tension in there. You want to think of it like you're pouting and say you're going. My teacher used to tell me, if you think of the Little Mermaid when Ariel was sitting on a rock and she put her hand up and she went and she blew her hair up. That's what you want to think of. You want a loose lip that's able to help you control your sound, but you don't want it to be too tight, and it's so you have these down. So that's some things to think about. Another thing you can pay attention to make sure you're doing it right is when you are playing, a little triangle of condensation will form right here. So if you look in a mirror, it might be hard to see here. You might be able to see it, but if you look in a mirror, you can kind of see if you are doing that or not, and that means that you're aiming the air in the correct spot. So you want to make sure that you have good air support, that it's nice and steady. That's what the exercise helps with. And then that you're directing your air into the flute, about 2/3 into the flute, as much as you can get in there, instead of completely above and straight across. Try to think of getting the air into the flute. Those are some things to think about. And now I'm going to show you a little bit of an exercise that I use to help with my tone. So I like to go note by note. So if I'm starting by an F, with an F, I'm going to go to an E natural next. So F to E natural. And I want to play those notes I'm going to put on my metronome and we'll do 4 counts each. And you're going to play it, you're going to listen, and I'm going to try to match your tone in steadiness with the E natural. So let me put my metronome back on to 80. This is what it'll sound like. Okay, so you want to try to think of keeping a nice steady sound. Let me do it one more time. And you want to work on those long tones. So try to match the first note to the second note with the air support, with the sound. If it's dark or airy, try to match that. And you can keep going. So then the next one would be E natural to E flat. If I were to keep going, 1, 2, ready, and. And don't let me forget, but whenever you're doing, fill up with air. So I won't count off this time, I'm going to fill up with air. So as you keep going, your sound will get better, will get fuller, and you can keep going down or you can go up. So that's an exercise that you can use to help with your tone. So overall, today we talked about breathing, a breathing exercise that you could use. We've also talked a little bit about a metronome and how that is a great tool to keep that steady beat in our exercises. And then we went over some tone basics on flute and what we're kind of looking for, some different types of tones. The bottom line is you want a full, supported, steady sound. Try to match that with every note. So that's it. I hope this video was really helpful to you. If you are enjoying these videos, make sure to encourage other members of your ensemble to join MusicMastery.band so that everyone can benefit. Remember, you get 3 requests per month as a member. These are just our fundamental videos you can take a look at, and we're looking forward to help you master your next piece of music.